What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Barberini and God podcast. So this is going to be episode 12. Today I'm doing a message on love versus lust. So today we're going to be talking about trying to be in a relationship as a Christian. Now, for those of you who are not married, we know that trying to date and have a godly relationship has to be one of the most challenging things that there is out there. Whether the person you like doesn't really go to church or have the same morals than you do, or maybe the person you like is lustful and only wants one thing. Whatever it might be, trying to date as a Christian definitely has its challenges. So today we're going to talk about love versus lust and highlight some key points and see if your relationship is built on love or lust. Now, for those of you who are single, we're going to talk about building a relationship on love and not on lust. That way, when you do get into a relationship, you can make it as Christ-centered as possible. So let's first look at how the Bible defines both love and lust. So in 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 4 through 8, it says, "Love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it does not dishonor others, it is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered, it keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails." So right there, those 4 verses are what I would call the biblical definition of love. And obviously you're allowed to think something different, but those 4 verses highlight what love is all about. Not being quick to get mad at your boyfriend or your girlfriend, not envying each other, not rubbing things in each other's faces. Because a relationship built on love invites communion, Christ, companionship, compassion, correction, conviction, and communication. A relationship built on love will invite all those things into your relationship, which will allow it to become more Christ-centered and more healthy and longer lasting. Because, after all, the goal of dating as a Christian is to one day be married. So when you're trying to reach that goal, you need to make sure that these are the principles that your relationship is built on. There's a famous quote that's built on 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 8, and it says, "Love never fails, so if it failed, it wasn't love." Now, obviously, when you think about being with someone and loving someone, and it gets to a point where, you tell each other that you love them, and then one day you end up you end up breaking up. I know firsthand that, it still hurts. You still think about them from time to time. You still pray for them. You check their socials from time to time. But remember this, child of God. God removed them for your life for a reason. So you need to understand that He will bring someone better in your life that you are meant to be with. You just have to be patient and trust His timing, because His timing is perfect. And when the time is right, He, the Lord, will make it happen. Just when you're waiting for that someone to come into your life, being patient plays a very big role. And in that time, that season of waiting, you can just grow closer to the Lord and see everything that the Lord has to offer. So that way, when you're ready and the person you're meant to be with are both ready, the Lord will bring y'all both together, and y'all can have a happy, healthy, God-centered relationship, and not one that's built on lust. So let's talk about how the Bible defines lust. So in James chapter 1, verse 14 through 15, it says, "But each person is tempted when they are dragged away by their own desires and enticed. Then, after desire has conceived, it gives birth to sin, and sin, when it is full grown, gives birth to death." So those 2 verses highlight just how dangerous lust can become. If left unchecked, lust will start to drag you away from God, and then drag you away from your boyfriend or your girlfriend. So let's talk about what lust does to a relationship. When a relationship is built on lust, not on love, it'll invite these things into your relationship. confusion, anger, codependency, greed, envy, and a whole lot of other problems. You see, when you and your partner get into a problem, lust offers a temporary solution, but love will offer communication and a permanent solution. Now, lust can sometimes disguise itself as love, so let's talk about that for a minute. You see, everything can seem, to be fine, and then, maybe you start having an argument here and there, but you talk about it and you work through it. But what lust will do is eventually lead you to more of these arguments, to the point where they happen constantly. And they eventually will come to a point where you are so fed up with them that, they say one wrong thing that puts the icing on the cake. And then, like, bam, y'all are breaking up. Months of memories gone in a flash because your relationship was more lust than it was love. You see, lust is a very dangerous thing. It destroys everything it touches. You think you could be in the healthiest relationship ever, and then one day it's just all gone because lust took over and started to ruin everything. Now listen to me, child of God. I'm not some guy on the internet that's trying to judge you or convict you. That isn't my job. I'm simply speaking from experience, because everything that I've said up to this point has happened to me. And trust me, it definitely does suck. But see, the thing is, sometimes God lets us experience these types of things to help us grow and learn. And sometimes that can be a tough pill to swallow. But trust me on this one, it does get better, I promise. Everything does happen for a reason. And if you've gone through what I have gone through, what I've talked about today, then listen to me, child of God. It does get better. He will bring someone new into your life. You just have to be patient. For me personally, I'm still waiting, but it is all on His timing, and His timing is perfect. I know that can be a hard thing to do, because sometimes you can start to feel lonely, but you're never lonely. God is always with you, no matter what you do, where you go, where you are. He's with you 24/7, 365. He's never going to leave your side. He's never going to forsake you. But, however, if you don't want to take my word for it, let's look at the Bible, and sometimes that lust has gotten people killed. So, now, the first instance where lust kills is with the story of David and Bathsheba. In 2 Samuel 11, King David lusted after Bathsheba, which was the wife of Uriah. His desire led him to commit adultery with her and ultimately orchestrate the death of Uriah to cover up the sin. Now, this act displeased the Lord, and as a consequence, they had a kid, and that kid died because, the Lord was angry, and, the lust got that baby killed. Now, let's pause for a second. Every time someone mentions the story of David and Bathsheba, they're always so quick to blame Bathsheba, make her seem like she was, some kind of harlot, for better lack of words. I'm not going to say that on here, but it was actually not her fault. She was minding her own business, taking a bath, and David was the one that saw her as like, okay, yeah, I need her. I'm going to go after her. I'm going to lust after her, even though I'm married and she's married. He went after her anyways. So the moral of the story is, it's not all men, but it's always men. Even though that gives some of us a bad rep. But the moral of the story is that David lusted after her. It wasn't the other way around. And then it led, to their child dying because of the sinful actions that they took. So now, moving on from that, the second time where lust kills is with the Israelites and the Moabite women. In Numbers chapter 25, verse 1 through 9, the Israelites started to indulge in sexual immorality with the Moabite women, which led them to idolatry. And as they joined in worshiping the Moabite gods, this act of lust and disobedience provoked the Lord's anger. resulting in a deadly plague that killed 24,000 Israelites. So, if lust can lead to the death of 24,000 people, then lust can lead to the end of a relationship that's built on lust. So listen to me, child of God. My goal with this message is for you to look at your relationship and ask yourself, is my relationship built on love or is it built on lust? If you say it's built on lust, then you still have a chance to talk to your boyfriend, to talk to your girlfriend, and fix it before it comes to an end, because I promise, child of God, it will happen eventually. It is only a matter of time. Like I said earlier, everything can seem fine and dandy, and you can feel like you're happy and you finally found someone that you really want to be with, because even if it starts out as love, it can be love for a very long time, and then eventually it starts to become more lust than it is love. There's you have this scale, and your relationship is being tested, and lust is weighing down on it more than love is, and that can start to cause problems. You can, like I said, just petty little arguments here and there, getting mad at each other for whatever reason, and then not really ever talking about it, instead doing the same things over and over again, and never actually fixing them and communicating them with your partner. It's just puts a strain on it that eventually just snaps in half, and eventually you to them are pulling the plug and saying, "No, we can't do this anymore." That's how dangerous lust can be, and sometimes you just have to be mature enough to realize that, and sit down and have that conversation with them and be like, "Hey, we need to fix this before it comes to the end of our relationship." So like I said, if you feel like anything I've talked about today defines your relationship, if you feel like your relationship is built on lust, talk to them, talk to God, pray together, pray about it together. Because I promise, if both y'all ask God for the same thing, He's more than likely going to answer you. And then with that, and then that's how you fix it. With God's help and your own help, but eventually you can have a healthy, Christ-centered relationship that is built on love. But with all that being said, I don't have anything else to say today. So I hope this message was somewhat helpful. But if you are struggling, if you need, someone to pray for you, pray for your relationship, I'll be more than happy to. My Instagram will be linked in the description as usual. So please don't hesitate to DM me. I will respond, I promise. And I will pray for you if you need me to, no questions asked. But with that being said, I love you guys, and so does the Lord. Peace.